Welcome back to the Brew Nub channel. I'm Mike.
And I'm Joey.
And today we're going to be doing something fun and exciting. We're going to be doing a New England IPA from Craft to Brew.
She's a juicy one. Okay, so for today's episode, and today's set, I'm going to bring 3 sets of Hopstand hops, 2 sets of dry hop hops, a bag of grains, your cheesecloth, malt extract, yeast, and sanitizer.
So I do briefly want to mention, if you've seen our other videos, that the hops usually go in at the boil point. Just note that in this episode that they are not going in at the boil point. So please make sure not to skip over the hop section.
So on today's episode, we're going to need a funnel with a strainer, your mixing spoon, a spray bottle for easy sanitation, a carboy with a cap for when it comes to yeast process, your stock pot, and 2 gallons of spring water.
So we'll need our airlock, we'll need our hop spider, our blow-off assembly, along with a mason jar that we can throw the end of this for when we do the fermentation. And then we'll need our container with measurements for when we add the sanitizer too.
Okay, now that we have sanitized everything, we're going to fill up our stock pot with 1.5 gallons of water, and we're going to get that up to a temperature of 155 degrees to start our steeping process.
So quick mention, the reason why we filled this up to 1.5 gallons is because as the water starts to boil, it will evaporate. So you just want to make sure that your end product is going to reach 1 gallon in the end. So now we'll be adding our specialty grains for the steeping process. Joey, if you can open up the cheesecloth. Thank you. Then we'll pour these in. I would suggest doing it within the box, so as the extra residue powder comes out, that it doesn't get all over your stove or countertops. So we'll tie this up, and we'll drop this in, give it a couple of bounces, and we're going to let this sit in here for 20 minutes. Now do yourself a favor and make sure that you're checking your temperature every few minutes during this process to make sure that it's not going above 155. It could go over a little bit, but try to keep it under 160 so it's not releasing extra tannins.
Okay, so now it's been 20 minutes and our steeping process has now ended and our water is now Wort. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pull out our grains from the Wort. And what we're going to do is make sure we do not squeeze this because we do not want to release any extra tannins. And now we're going to get this up to a temperature of 212 for our next step.
Alright, so now that our water has hit the boiling point of 212, we're going to add in our malt extract. We're going to cut this open and pour it in slowly. As it's being poured in, make sure you're stirring so that it doesn't clump to the bottom. So let's get that started. Make sure to spray it off with some sanitizer. And we're just slowly mixing it into the wort. So what this is going to do, it's going to bring your temperature down. So we'll want to make sure after this is all poured in to bring this back up to the boiling point. And then we're going to let that boil for 20 minutes. Once that's completed, we're going to bring this off the burner and we're going to let it be brought down to 180 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, so now that this has boiled for 20 minutes, we put this off the burner and let it naturally go down to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And now we're ready for our next step, which is we're going to start putting our hops. And since this is not going to be going back to a boiling point, we want to make sure that we sanitize all our instruments.
Yep, so anything that's going to touch the wort from now on, you want to make sure you're sanitizing. So just so you are aware, these are the Hopstand hops. So we just threw them in. They're going to sit for 30 minutes. And then you're just not going to throw it back on the burner. You're going to just let it naturally cool down.
Okay, So now we're going to put this into an ice bath, and we're going to drop this down to 70 degrees. And the reason why I want it to this temperature is because we don't want to kill the yeast. Okay, so now that we have this down to a cool temperature of 70 degrees, we've already sanitized our funnel, a strainer, and our carboy, and we're just going to start pouring this in there.
All right, so now that we filled it up to the gallon mark, we're going to go ahead and add the yeast. So we just added the yeast, and now we're going to shake this for 1 minute, which is aeration. Now the reason we're doing this is so the yeast can multiply, and you want to make sure that you only do this for 1 minute, because if you go further than that, it can cause oxidation. So Alexa, timer 1 minute, sanitize, and start shaking. So now that we finished the yeast, we're going to do the blow off assembly. So let's take this off. We're going to switch it with this. Make sure, again, you're sanitizing. Throw this into a sanitizer and have something that holds the hose into place. As the CO2 is coming out, it's going to move around the hose. So just make sure that you have a piece of tape or something that can hold this into place. So once that's done, you can bring this into a dark, cool place, which is going to sit for 2 weeks. But also, since this is a special Hazy IPA, there's 2 more hops that you're going to have to add. So after 4 days, you're going to throw in your first set of dry hops. And then on your 10th day, 6 days after this one, you're going to put in your second batch. So once that is done, it's going to be day 10, and all you have left is 4 more days and you can start to bottle. So once you're finished to that process, you could go check out our video of bottling. All right, good job. You were able to make the New England IPA with us from Craft a Beer. So I'd like to thank you for joining us on this journey. Please make sure to like and subscribe. That will help us a lot. And leave a comment. Let us know what you thought.
So until next time, guys. See you guys. See you guys.
I just don't have that backside.
Backside?
You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about backside flips. I got those.
Marker.
I'm speaking cursive right now.
Action.
Broken cursive.
Can you click one more time, please?